Hello and welcome, I am Chuck the Testos, and today I will be doing something entirely different than what I usually do. This will be a somewhat guided playthrough of a melee necromancer. We will be using Poison Dagger as our main skill, and I will try to go as far as possible, and meanwhile I will explain which item you should pick up for extra gold in the very early game, and I will also give some tricks to navigate the maps. Obviously, some areas are easier to navigate than others, because they have specific details that gives a good idea of where you need to go. Meanwhile, some are much harder to guess the direction you need to go, simply because there are no particular points you can track. Those are mostly found in Act 2, which is, by the way, my least favorite act until I run into a very disgusting Act 3 map, which is, in my opinion, easier to navigate in general. First of all, if you are playing single player, I advise using player 8 for the whole Act 1 until the boss. This way you will not need to farm any area to increase your level to progress throughout the game. Which is what I hate the most about Diablo 2, having to do 3 stram runs and tomb runs. In my opinion, it's just not fun, it's not worth it, it's so damn boring, hate it, okay, I hate it. Otherwise, if you are playing on multiplayer, you can do 3 stram runs up to level 15, tomb runs up to level 24, then you can complete the Rite of Passage quest in Act 5 to get to 25. Then you are free to do Chaos Sanctuary and or Bale runs to level around 35 if you are playing the game normally, or maybe 40 if you are getting rushed so you can do the Rite of Passage quest on Nightmare. So as you've just seen, using Poison Dagger at level 2 on player 8 is just not going to cut it. The best weapon to look for this early in the game is either a scepter drop, javelins, and strangling gas potions, which in Project Diablo 2 doesn't have any quantity, so you can just throw as many of those as you want. Those weapons are extremely strong early game and I will be using them until my poison dagger is strong enough to outdamage them. If you aren't as lucky as I was, you can purchase a scepter or javelins from Charcy in the town, so try to keep an eye out for items worth a decent amount of gold so you can seal those and buy either the javelins or a scepter. Wands, orbs, and staves with plus skills, throwing daggers, keys, charms, rings, amulets, and jewels are all worth picking up to seal. Don't be scared to seal your first rings and amulets you find, those usually don't provide much of anything that are worth keeping anyway. But if you are a caster, you may want to keep rings with increased cast speed, as those will be very helpful this early game. In Bloodmore, if you want to save a few seconds, just open a portal in front of the den. Run up to Cold Plain by following the main road, take the waypoint back to town. Then get inside your portal, complete the den quest, save and exit afterward, and simply return to Cold Plain via the waypoint you just picked up. And please do not do what I will be doing in a moment. When you get inside the den, kill all the monsters you see as you progress, so you will not have to return to the beginning to kill the last few ones. As for your stat points, early game, as a melee character, and especially on hardcore, you want to click most of your points into vitality. The Necromancer starting strength is very low, so I will be investing a few points in there so I can wear armor. Necromancers are squishy, and placing all my points into vitality will not protect me from getting hit. So ideally, you want some armor to reduce the chance to get hit. This is especially easy to see when you get surrounded by monsters. If many of them hit you at the same time, you may get stuck in a hit recovery lock and that will prevent you from moving away from those enemies and it will end up getting you killed. You will also see during this playthrough that it actually happened to me a few times. I have been playing this game for a long time and I know what I can and can't take, at least most of the time. There isn't much else to cover about the den, so I will be speeding up the video a little bit until we get out of here. So as I mentioned earlier, once the den is completed, save and exit, rejoin the game, and simply take the waypoint right back to Cold Plain. In Cold Plain, there isn't much to be done. There is a single road to follow that will eventually split into two, and then one of the two paths will resplit into two more paths. One leads to your next quest, which is killing Bloodraven in Burial Grounds, which I would suggest skipping in Project Diablo 2 until you are higher level. Bloodraven was buffed and is rather a great danger, so if you aren't prepared, you may die there, especially on hardcore. Just to save a few minutes, I will completely skip this quest, but you may do it if you want to have a rogue mercenary. The Burial Ground entrance is always located in a corner of Cold Plain map, which by the way, all maps in Act 1 are made into square shapes. So if you follow the dirt road and it leads to a corner, you know it's Burial Ground. The area we are looking for is Stony Field and will always be more toward the center of the side of our square. And finally, the last path leads to a cave and there's just nothing to be done there. I would suggest killing all the monsters along the way. If you are trying to go for a speed run, obviously you want to aim for the packs instead of just all the monsters because they are worth much more experience. So as you can see, I went and followed the path that leads to the corner of the map, and just as expected, it is Burial Ground. Now we will simply return to the main path, to the bottom right, and reach our next area, Stony Field. In this area, there is a singular path to follow which leads to underground passage. There are also the stones that opens the portal to Tristram for our next quest, but we need an item from the area outside underground passage first. To find the stones, simply follow the path. Try to stick to the side of the path instead of right on top of it. So stick to the side of the path as is furthest from the wall if you see a wall. This will allow you to discover the stones without having to run around like a headless chicken. Ideally, if you can find a waypoint in this area, it will help to return there to complete the quest. Otherwise, you can simply use the waypoint from Cold Plain if those aren't too far from the stones. Sadly, there is no trick to finding the waypoint here, so here comes the headless chicken. I also forgot to mention, whenever you go to town, try to buy some stamina potions so you won't have to walk around until you regain some stamina. Personally, I like having the waypoint to Stony Field before progressing, so I will be looking around a bit for it. Hello, we are extremely sorry for this delay. Please wait patiently while we look around the map for a random circle that teleports people to and from destinations. We will be back with you shortly. Meanwhile, you are free to grab yourself a nice beer or a cup of tea and simply sip at it while enjoying its taste. I would gladly recommend some brands, but those are most likely unavailable in your area. Okay, maybe this joke went a little too far, but the good news is we just reached the underground passage. Okay, so underground passage is a rather tricky area to complete quickly. Now just from looking at the entrance, I know the way to go is on the right side. I believe there are only 3 or 4 different entrances to this map. This one goes around like a circle with a pathway in the middle that leads to my right if I go to the left side. Another one is a dead end to the right side, just a bit further from the entrance. Another one is you go from the entrance to the right, it just does a circle around and you exit back to the left side of the entrance. Now I think maybe I got it wrong, it was only 3 different entrance maps, but I don't remember, I'm going for memory and it's a bit fuzzy. Anyway, now if you look at my map carefully, you can see the left side seems to be going downwards and another path to the right leads to the bottom as well. So I know the right way to exit this entrance will be to the top right path. There are quite a lot of ways to navigate this area, but I do not know all the tricks there are. As a side note, I did mention earlier that the Necromancer is super squishy. The reason you see me hitting monsters and moving away then returning in is simply to avoid getting hit as much as possible. I hit, let the monster walk into the poisonous area, then repeat. This trick comes especially useful in Nightmare and Hell because you don't want to get surrounded, you simply don't want to get hit at all if possible. Now, after the entrance area to this map, you want to follow the right wall as much as you can. Usually, in most cases, I say in most cases because there are some exceptions, the cave level 2 will be on the left side, and the exit to the dark woods will be towards the right, so following that path makes it much easier to find. If you see a room with shamans in it, just skip it, it will be a dead end. Now, you saw me going to the left side first, it was intentional. I was hoping to find an exception map so I could show it. Also, try to be very careful around archer packs and monsters that spit a lightning bar from their mouth. Both of those can be quite deadly when mixed with things like extra strong, extra fast, cursed, and conviction aura. Now Darkwood, we ain't wasting much time here. There is a single road headed to Black Marsh, but to do Cane Quest we need to find the tree and get the scroll from it. Sadly, I don't think there is any special tricks here to find the tree. The placement has always seemed quite random to me. Look for a big patch of dirt, and the tree will be in the middle of it. To save some time, if you didn't find the tree on the way to Black Marsh, simply leave a portal at the entrance of Black Marsh, head straight past Black Marsh to Tomoe Island, and follow the path to Outer Cloister. Take the waypoint back to town, and take your portal back to find the tree. This way you will save a few steps and some precious time. As for Black Marsh, there is the contest tower. If you want to spend some time here to farm the contest for Tal and Het runes and make a stealth rune ward, go for it. As for myself, I believe the rune ward has been nerfed to the ground and isn't worth my time. Anyway, after getting the scroll from the tree in Darkwoods, talk to Akara in town and head back to Stony Field. You should have found the stones by following the main path. In Tristram, go to the center of the area and click the arcane to do the quest. We are playing on player 8 so we don't need to kill anything in this area. Okay, we are now in Other Cloister. And to be fair, I have zero idea how to navigate the next few areas which are the jails level. But I do remember there is a way to establish the position of the next area based on the Outer Cloister waypoint position. Anyway, once in the barracks, just follow the left wall until you reach the jails level. The jail level is always on the left side or on the top side of the barracks, so following the left wall is the fastest way to find the next level. As for the build, I will keep putting points into Poison Dagger until it is max or close to, then put a point into Bone Shield and some into its synergy, so we can take a few extra hits. As a melee Necromancer, Bone Armor is very important to use, and don't forget to recast it whenever it is depleted. For our stats, we mainly want Vitality, as much as possible. If you want some extra chance to block, some Dexterity will obviously help. I will try to reach as far as possible without using the shared gear from my stash, so we can get a good idea of where we hit a wall and where we will need to farm. As of now, things are progressing super smoothly even on player 8, and it should be so for the remainder of normal difficulty. I will be removing player 8 around Act 4, as monsters get a huge bump into their HP pool. By 10, we should be around level 28. Starting in Nightmare, I expect the run to hit a small wall. We will most likely still do a lot of damage to monsters, but without proper gear, we may as well get killed ahead of our time. In case you didn't know, this is hardcore, so if I feel like the run is getting too dangerous and risk ruining the playthrough, I'll use some gear from my shared stash. And now to the good part, the Catacomb. This is going to take a while to explain, but there is actually a very efficient way to find where to go from each level of the Catacomb. First, in the Cathedral, check for the location of where the unique monster Bone Ash spawns. It will be near the altar at the end of the corridor. It will spawn either at the front, left or the back of it. Depending on the position it spawned, it will give a general idea of where the next level will be. So here, because the skeleton wasn't at the front of the altar, I knew that the next level would be at this exact location. Now you may think, wow, that's actually more than just a general location, right? But no, it could have been spawning a little bit further as well. In the level 2, I'll head straight to the waypoint, which will always be at the bottom left if the unique skeleton didn't spawn at the front of the altar. Then, from the waypoint, the next level will always be to the top right side. Although on this map I got played a bit and the map was a dead end at first. In the Catacombs level 3, I figured I was a little low level and decided to go around the map to farm a bit of XP and ended up doing the whole map. But I obviously knew that the level 4 was at the bottom of the entrance, cause you know I am that good. I mean it, I really am that good. I mean, you've been listening up to this point, right? And to be fair, navigating the catacombs is rather hard, and there is a very good reason for that. There's no way to predict where the next level will be. So what was I saying about Bone Ash spawning at the altar or whatever? Man, you know, I had a big chunk of silence to fill and I had to do something about it. So before Andariel, remember to remove player 8, or you will be sitting there for half an hour to get her dead, at least with this build setup. Take a trip to town, buy yourself some antidotes, chug a few of them. Antidotes and thawing potions gives resistances and each you drink increase the duration it will last. So drink a few of them, keep a few in your inventory, and head for the boss fight. Keep in mind that if you found the ring or amulets that reduce poison effectiveness, now is a good time to equip them. Otherwise, just be careful with your HP, keep a portal close to your location so if you panic you can just click it and get the hell out of here. So now that everything is out of the way, here is an epic fight in full Ultra HD. Just give me a moment to put my 3D glasses on and let's get to it. Wow, let me be honest, I can't believe you are still here. I just wanted to tell you thank you very much for watching and hopefully you will be around for Act 2. As a bonus, here is a picture of both my doggos together from a few years ago. Thank you very much again and until then, see you next time.
Back to the
Bye-bye.
hell that spawned you, Andariel. The caravan.